My daughter was 3 days old, wailing from hunger, but my wife was nowhere to be found. Just then, a notification popped up on my phone. It was a social media post. "He's eating so well. I hope our baby grows up healthy and strong." The photo showed a strange child nursing at my wife's breast, the very nourishment meant for my own daughter. Beside her, my wife and her best male friend were smiling, the picture of a happy family. I questioned them in the comments, only to be buried in an avalanche of abuse from strangers. "What are you barking about? Those two have always had a wonderful relationship. You're a rat from the gutter. Why haven't you just died in a ditch somewhere?" Wah! The sound pulled me back to the present. I touched my wife's hospital bed. It was cold. She had been gone for a long time. The room felt vast and empty, with only my daughter left behind. Her tiny body was racked with sobs. Her face flushed crimson as tears streamed down her cheeks. Each cry was like an icy spike driving into my heart. I gently lifted her into my arms, rocking her softly while trying to call my wife. I called more than a dozen times. The line just rang and rang, busy every time. A terrible feeling began to creep over me. A kidnapping? An abduction? Where could she have gone? Just as I was about to call the police, the final call went through. "Chloe, where on earth are?" I began, my voice tight with panic. Call. Are you calling to see if I'm dead?" "I'm not dead," she snapped, her voice a torrent of irritation. I was used to her fiery temper, so I forced a weak smile. "You just gave birth. You shouldn't be running around. Women in other countries are up and about right after having a baby. Do I look like I need you to worry about me?" "But you don't have their constitution," I thought. Before I could say it, she cut me off impatiently. "Just stop calling me." The line went dead. I stood in silence for a long moment before finally going to prepare a bottle of formula for my daughter. She drank greedily, her hunger painfully obvious. I had hoped that becoming a mother would soften Chloe, that it would change her. But from the very beginning, she hadn't asked about our daughter even once. She had abandoned her, alone in a hospital room, without a second thought as to whether she might be hungry or, worse, stolen by a stranger. A cold, bitter laugh escaped my lips. I picked up the phone and canceled the reservation for the expensive postpartum recovery center I had booked for her. If she thought she was as tough as a Western woman, then why should I waste my money? Once the doctors confirmed that my daughter, Grace, had all her vitals in check, I took her home. I also hired 2 experienced nannies to help. As a freelancer, I make a good living. Out of trust, I had given Chloe control of all our savings, a decision that had fueled her extravagant spending habits. Designer bags, clothes, jewelry, makeup. She could burn through tens of thousands of dollars in a single month. Even if I earned well, money wasn't meant to be thrown away like that. "It's a man's duty to earn money and a woman's right to spend it," she would declare. "If you can marry me but can't support me, we might as well get a divorce." She would then storm out in a flood of tears, and within the hour, her best male friend, Julian, would call me. "Chloe's been spoiled since she was a child. You're the man. Can't you just give in a little?" he'd say. "She's crying her eyes out. You two are husband and wife. Just apologize, and this will all blow over." When I first met Chloe, she was a dazzling, vibrant girl. Like a rose, I'd told my roommate. He had laughed, but then his expression turned serious. "She's not an easy one to win over. And her reputation, it's complicated. I don't think you can handle her." But I didn't see her as something to be handled. She wasn't an object. I believed her fiery temper was just a defense mechanism, a suit of armor to protect herself. After years of pursuing her, I finally married my Rose. I was determined to cherish her. She said she loved her freedom, so I gave it to her. She said she wanted to be child-free, and I agreed. Then, to our surprise, she became pregnant. "If you want to keep it, we'll keep it. If you don't, I'll go with you to the clinic," I told her, even though I desperately wanted a child. Her happiness was what mattered most. She agreed to have the baby, though her reluctance was plain to see. Still, I was ecstatic, like a fool who'd won the lottery. I thought it meant she was finally accepting me, that we were becoming a true family. It wasn't until she gave birth that I understood how wrong I was. For the first time, my heart ached with a profound disappointment. How could she be so cruel as to leave our tiny, helpless daughter all alone? Every action has a reason. I found mine when I stumbled upon that social media post. It was a coincidence, really. Ever since we learned we were expecting, I had started following parenting blogs and influencers. The algorithm fed me related content, and among the countless posts, a particular diamond ring caught my eye. It was identical to my wife's. Curiosity piqued. I clicked on the post. I immediately wished I could claw my own eyes out. There was Chloe, her expression a strange mix of pain and bliss, breastfeeding a baby boy. Next to her, beaming, was Julian. The three of them looked like a perfect, loving family. The comments section was flooded with praise. Breastfeeding is such a sacrifice, a tribute to the greatness of a mother's love. That boy looks almost a year old, right? He's even got teeth. My son used to bite me so hard. A memory surfaced. Throughout her pregnancy, Chloe had insisted she would never breastfeed. Yet, I had caught her secretly looking up articles, asking about how much. It hurt, researching everything she could. At the time, I was moved, feeling incredibly lucky to have such a thoughtful wife who I thought was preparing for our child. Now, the truth hit me with the force of a physical blow. She never intended to feed our daughter. All along, she had been saving her milk for Julian's son. My entire body trembled with a rage so intense I felt like I could kill them both. Barely containing my fury, I started calling her again. When she didn't answer, I bombarded the comments section of her post. Chloe, are you insane? Grace is your daughter. You walked out of the hospital without a word. Do you even care about your own child? Chloe didn't reply, but her online fans did. If you've lost your mind, go check into a mental hospital. Don't embarrass yourself here. Wow, a toad lusting after a swan. You even invented a fake daughter just to harass them. A daughter? Named Grace? Ha ha ha. Is that your dog's name? Woof woof. I hereby declare that your little Grace is dead. I gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white, a murderous urge coursing through me. Insult me, fine. But to direct such vile hatred at a newborn baby. As if sensing my turmoil, Grace stirred in her sleep. She opened her eyes, gave a tiny yawn, and then blessed me with a gummy, toothless smile. It's okay, my little Grace. It's okay. Her soft coos were the only thing that could quell the storm inside me. I felt a surge of relief that she was still too young to understand. She had no idea that her own mother was pouring out her love and affection on another woman's child. Chloe must have seen my comments, because she finally called, her voice dripping with scorn. You're a grown man. Can't you stop being so petty? Julian's son, Leo, is so young and he doesn't even have a mother. He was crying for milk. Can't you have a little compassion? I let out a cold laugh. He's almost a year old. He doesn't need to be breastfed anymore. Our daughter, on the other hand, Grace hasn't had a single drop of her mother's milk since she was born. Do you really think you deserve to be called her mother? Her tone turned smug and triumphant, completely missing the point. We're all going to be one big family soon anyway. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. What are you talking about? I'm feeding Leo for our daughter's sake, she said, as if her logic was flawless. If we raise them together, they'll be so devoted to each other. They'll be a perfect match when they grow up. It will be a wonderful union for our families. She giggled, genuinely pleased with her brilliant plan. Are you out of your mind? The sheer insanity of her words horrified me. My tone clearly offended her. What kind of attitude is that, she whined. The five of us will live a beautiful, harmonious life together. That's what's most important. I slammed the phone down, ending the call. I took several deep breaths, trying to calm the violent shaking in my hands. It wasn't just her warped sense of morality. It was the terrifying realization that my daughter's future would be a living hell if she remained in Chloe's care. I want a divorce. Did the sun rise in the west today? My old roommate, now a prominent lawyer, didn't seem surprised when I recounted Chloe's outrageous behavior. It was as if he had always known it would come to this. It's not too late to wake up, he said. Don't worry. I'll make sure you get full custody of your daughter. He advised me to lay low for now and gather more evidence. We needed enough to ensure Chloe would walk away with nothing. Her social media account was a goldmine. It's amazing how your relationship with Julian is still so strong after all these years. I'm so jealous, one comment read. He just lucky, I guess. He is my best friend, after all. Chloe replied coyly. Someone else chimed in playfully. Best male friend. Haha, what a cute name for it. That was her trick. She never explicitly stated that she and Julian were a couple, always responding to comments with a calculated ambiguity. All I had to do now was wait. Finally, unable to stand it any longer, Chloe came home. Leo, I've been gone for days. Weren't you worried about me at all? She demanded. When she saw the two nannies in the living room, her face contorted with rage. Who are these women? I laughed coldly. Well, our daughter doesn't seem to have a mother anymore, and I can't take care of her all by myself. Without another word, she strode over to one of the nannies and slapped her across the face. Even as she was struck, The nanny held Grace tightly, protecting her. Enraged that the baby wasn't in her own arms, Chloe tried to snatch her away. The sudden movement terrified Grace, who immediately started screaming, her little face turning purple. Chloe was furious that her own daughter would reject her so loudly. "So it's true. Whoever has the milk is the mother," she shrieked. "If I had known I was giving birth to such an ungrateful brat, I would have drowned you in the toilet the moment you were born." That was it. The dam of my restraint broke. I gave the nannies a slight nod. "Take Grace into the bedroom. I have some things to handle with her." They scurried away. Chloe sneered, "What? Getting protective of your little mistresses now?" A loud thud echoed through the room. I had grabbed her by the hair and slammed her head against the wall. A terrifying purple bruise was already forming on her forehead. She trembled, unable to speak. I leaned in close to her ear, my voice chillingly calm. "Say one more word like that, and I swear to God I will end you tonight." I understand," she stammered, her pupils shrinking in fear. She sank to the floor, sobbing pathetically. The old me would have felt a pang of pity. But now? "You disgust me," I spat, giving her one last look of revulsion before walking away. After that incident, Chloe's arrogant demeanor vanished. She became meek, almost timid. She even started doing housework. This was a woman who had never so much as washed a dish in her life, and now she was in the kitchen, making me a bowl of hand-pulled noodles. She watched my face nervously. "I remember you liked these. Do you want to try some?" The noodles were garnished with shrimp and clams, with a few stalks of green vegetables. It looked delicious, certainly not the work of a beginner. But I just smiled. How could I dare to eat something made by you? Enjoy it yourself. I turned to the nanny. "Anna, could you make me a bowl of noodles, please?" Humiliation washed over Chloe's face. She bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. "I made one small mistake, and you're going to treat me like this?" She angrily stirred the noodles. "You are going to eat this today." She was wearing a low-cut dress, revealing her delicate collarbones, and her makeup was done just the way I used to like it, light and natural. She seemed to think her beauty could quell my rage. But she had crossed a line I could never forgive. Years ago, my father had wanted to marry his mistress. To force my mother into suicide, he abandoned me on a remote mountain, claiming I'd been kidnapped. I wandered for hours, crying for him, the howls of wild animals echoing around me. I was certain I would die there. Finally, a group of college students found me and called the police. When I was returned to my mother, she nearly fainted from relief. She gave up everything in the divorce, leaving with nothing but me. I have two absolute hatreds in life: cheating and using a child as a pawn. Chloe's sick fantasy of pairing our daughter with Julian's son, her threat to drown Grace in a toilet. Was that supposed to be a joke? Even the words alone made me want to tear her apart. Yet, she seemed completely oblivious to the gravity of her actions. She just felt that she was the victim. "I've already humbled myself and begged you. Can't you give me a sign?" I dumped the entire bowl of noodles into the trash can. "Not even a dog would eat this," I said with a dismissive laugh. "Leo," she screamed. But when she saw the cold indifference in my eyes, her anger collapsed into whimpers. "You never used to be like this. Give me back the Leo who used to love me." Love her? She knew I loved her. Years of devotion and care, all met with her impatience. And now she was playing the victim? "Chloe, have I been too good to you?" I stared down at her, tapping her cheek lightly. Such a pretty face, but a hide thicker than a castle wall. "Look, your foundation is coming off on my hand." I rarely got angry with her. It was always her using my love as a weapon against me. And whenever we fought, she would run crying to her dear best friend. As if on cue, her phone rang. The moment she answered, she burst into theatrical sobs. "Julian, Leo is bullying me." After a moment, she held the phone out to me, a flicker of defiance in her fearful eyes. Julian's voice came through the speaker, trying to sound authoritative. "Leo, I know you two fought because of my son, and that's my fault. But you should be taking it out on me, not a woman. What kind of man are you?" I raised an eyebrow. "And who are you to lecture me? What right do you have to interfere in my marriage?" He faltered, his righteous tone dissolving into a mumble. "I'm Chloe's best friend. I'm like a brother to her. Are you saying I can't even stand up for my sister?" "Oh, a brother from another mother?" I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "The kind of brother who lets his sister, who just gave birth, abandon her own daughter to go nurse his 1-year-old son? That's some real brotherly love you've got there." The thinly veiled accusation hung in the air, making them both squirm. Anyone with half a brain could figure out what was really going. On. Chloe's face turned scarlet with shame. She snatched the phone back and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. The hidden camera in the living room faithfully recorded everything. I had also copied all the chat logs between her and Julian from her phone while she was home. With that sorted, I felt a small sense of victory and went to check on Grace. But the nanny burst out of the bedroom, her face pale with panic. "Mr. Evans, Grace has a fever." My daughter was limp in her blankets, her body burning hot. She didn't even have the strength to cry. The nanny explained what had happened, and I knew instantly. The fever was from terror. Ever since Chloe had frightened her, Grace had been on edge, crying at the slightest sound. The constant stress, combined with the lack of mother's milk, had weakened her immune system. "We're going to the hospital now." On our way out, I looked for our insurance cards, but mine was gone. So was Chloe's. A humorless laugh escaped my lips. I pushed it aside for the moment and rushed Grace to the emergency room. Just as the doctor took her, her tiny body began to convulse. "Febrile seizure. Don't you know how dangerous this is for an infant?" the doctor yelled, berating me while he worked on my daughter. "She's so small. How could you let her get so frightened? Where's her mother? We need her mother in here to calm her down." I stood there, speechless. The pediatric clinic was filled with sick children, but every one of them was being soothed by their mother's gentle voice or distracted by a playful game. In every child's eyes, I saw an innate trust and love for their mother. I looked at my feverish, seizing daughter, and my vision blurred. Her mother couldn't make it. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. It hurt so much I could barely breathe. Why did my daughter have to have such a mother? "Anna, please watch her. I need to go pay the bill," I mumbled, escaping the room before the tears could fall. As I reached the payment counter, I saw a familiar figure, Julian, Chloe's brother. He was at the front of the line. "Sir, please use the facial recognition to confirm. The fee will be deducted from your insurance account," the clerk said. Julian stood frozen, a deer in the headlights. People behind him started grumbling. "Are you paying or not? If not, move aside. Our kids need treatment too." "You can also use the PIN to pay," the clerk offered politely. Julian's embarrassment turned to anger. "Every other hospital just lets you swipe the card. Why do you need facial recognition and a PIN? Don't you want my money?" "You're welcome to take your child to another hospital, sir," the clerk replied, her professionalism unwavering. "My child is sick. If anything happens to him, will you take responsibility?" Julian bellowed. I walked up behind him and clapped him on the shoulder. "How does it feel using someone else's insurance card?" His eyes widened in panic, and he instinctively tried to hide the card. I leaned in. "Do you need me to tell you the PIN?" "I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered, trying to back away, but I grabbed his arm. "We have a thief here," I announced loudly. "Someone who broke into a home and stole valuable property. I guess I'll have to call the police." I paid the highest premium for my social insurance. The medical account alone had over $10,000 in it. If he had cashed any of it out, he would be looking at a serious charge for residential theft. He could be facing years in prison. The crowd erupted in murmurs. The color drained from Julian's face. "It was Chloe," he blurted out, his voice trembling. "She gave it to me. She said you're healthy and never use it, so I could have it. I didn't steal it, I swear." He looked like he was about to cry. People started pulling out their phones to record. One man even held up his phone, the emergency number already dialed. "Hey buddy, want me to make the call for you?" Suddenly, Chloe pushed through the crowd and slapped the man's phone out of his hand. It shattered on the floor. "This is our family business. Are you crazy?" she shrieked. "You," the man roared, his face red with anger. "That was the newest model. It cost over $1,000. You're not leaving here until you pay for it." The little boy in Chloe's arms, startled by the commotion, began to wail. "You scared my son. I haven't even settled the score with you, and you dare ask me for money?" Chloe shot back. The man scoffed. "I don't hit women or children." He grabbed Julian by the collar and raised a fist. Julian looked like he was about to pass out from fear. Finally, Chloe turned to me, tugging at my sleeve. "Leo, honey, you have money. Please, help us." "Help him? Why would I help him?" I sneered, shaking her hand off. She stumbled and fell, but she instinctively shielded the boy in her arms. The sight was nauseating. Using my money to treat another man's child while our own daughter was fighting a seizure. What a touching display of maternal love. "Give me back my card," I said coldly. Julian reluctantly started to hand it over, but Chloe snatched it. With a sharp snap, she broke it in two. As if that wasn't enough, she threw the pieces on the ground and stomped on them. Then she pointed to her own face and taunted me. Go on, hit me. I dare you to hit me. She knew I had hit her before, but this was different. This was a performance. I forced an expression of rage while scanning the crowd. My eyes met with someone in the throng, and Chloe glanced at him too. I saw it instantly. Unlike the others with their phones, this man was holding a professional camera. It all clicked into place. She wanted a divorce too. If I hit her in public, even if she was caught cheating, it would be considered mutual fault. She could claim I was abusive, win custody of Grace, and walk away with half of my assets. This was a play. I was the villain, and she and Julian were the helpless victims. And now, it was time for the hero to make their entrance. Stop right there. A young woman's voice cut through the chaos. This is a hospital, not a place for you to beat your wife and child. She marched towards us, radiating righteous fury. Chloe saw her and immediately collapsed to the ground, as if her legs had given out. Leo, I am so disappointed in you, she sobbed. You were the one who offered the insurance card, but when our child needed it, you went back on your word and even threatened to call the police. The boy in her arms cried along with her. My brother and I grew up together, and you accuse me of cheating? You were willing to send him to prison and leave his son, Leo, without a father. You are a cruel, heartless man. The crowd, which had been on my side moments before, now looked at us with uncertainty. The young woman added fuel to the fire. I'm a fan of Chloe and Julian. Chloe just felt sorry for a motherless child and helped take care of him for a few days. And her husband accuses her of having an affair. Julian, his eyes red, choked out. If Chloe and I had feelings for each other, he never would have had the chance to marry her. I thought he was a man she could rely on, but he let me down. He's selfish and cruel, and he hurts her again and again. He almost hurt my son. He hugged the boy and wept. I'm so sorry you were born, my son. Your father is useless. His performance swayed the crowd. People started glaring at me, their faces filled with righteous anger, as if I had personally wronged them. Whipped into a frenzy, their darker impulses took over. Get out. Get out of here, they chanted. The hospital lobby descended into chaos. People started throwing whatever they had at me, water bottles, tissues, crumpled papers. A sharp pain erupted on my cheek, and I felt warm blood trickle down my face. I stood my ground, slowly turning to face them all. The tiny button camera on my shirt was recording everything. The man with the professional camera slipped away in the confusion. I knew that within 24 hours, my face would be all over the news. But the bigger the scandal, the better it was for me. As I calculated my next move, an arm shot out from the crowd and yanked me free. Without a word, my rescuer dragged me into a mad dash out of the hospital. We didn't stop until my lungs were burning and I was about to collapse. Weakling, you're still as fragile as ever, she said. I looked up, dazed, and saw a familiar face leaning in close, puckering her lips. Here, let your big sis give you some mouth-to-mouth. Alex, you're still a creep. I gasped, a shiver running down my spine. The oily feeling was unmistakable. It was my high school desk mate, Alex, whom I hadn't seen in years. I shoved her away and stumbled back. She kicked a nearby stone bench in frustration. It sailed through the air with a loud splash and landed in the middle of an artificial lake. She offered a sheepish grin. Oops. 2 women had left deep psychological scars on me. Alex was one of them. I had been frail in high school and once fainted during gym class. Without hesitation, Alex, with a wicked grin, had scooped me up in a Princess Carrie and paraded me around the track 3 times. From that day on, I was known as the White Horse. Princess. I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. Thanks to her, I lost all interest in girls for the rest of high school and ended up at a good university. She, on the other hand, had been scouted as a star athlete and went on to win multiple medals for the country. I never thought our paths would cross again. After some teasing, she used her connections to get me an appointment with the best pediatrician in the city. I didn't refuse. After what had happened, I couldn't risk those people trying to get to my daughter. The next day, just as I expected, the news broke. The video was edited to paint me as a monster. The internet exploded with condemnation. Chloe gave a tearful interview. A man like that is not someone you can rely on. I want a divorce. I must get custody of our daughter. I can't let him have her. I ignored it all. I was busy taking care of Grace and strategizing with my lawyer. All right, he finally said. This evidence is more than enough to sink them. And so, the online mob, along with the people who assaulted me at the hospital, received formal warning letters from my lawyer. At first, they scoffed. In The world of online drama. Legal threats were often seen as empty posturing. But a warning letter is not a joke. It's a prelude to real legal consequences. When the court summonses began to arrive, they panicked. I didn't realize it was so serious. I'm so sorry for the trouble I caused. Please forgive me. It was just a few comments online. Do you really have to take it this far? LOL. I'm a minor. What can you do to me? We made an example of the most arrogant ones. The minor's parents were held responsible. After a sound beating from his father, he posted a tearful public apology online. One by one, as the ringleaders faced fines and legal action, the rest of them finally understood. A flood of apologies appeared online, and the public tide began to turn. The internet's fury, now redirected, fell squarely on Chloe and Julian. I lost 6 months of savings because I defended you. It's all gone. If people are being punished, it means Leo was innocent. You two are clearly the bad guys. Scumbags. Get off the internet. Chloe's account was buried under an avalanche of hate. I watched coldly as they hurled the same vicious words at her that they had once thrown at me and my infant daughter. The fickle mob was indeed a useful weapon. Chloe finally broke. One day, when I went back to our old house to pack Grace's things, she threw herself at my feet. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. For our daughter's sake, please, give me another chance. I kicked her aside and went to the nursery. She scrambled after me, pressing her body against my back, her hands roaming over me. Get off. I shoved her away. She stumbled into the wardrobe, her eyes red with pain, looking pitiful. Leo, she pleaded, what will it take for you to drop the charges against my best friend? The two of us are truly just like brother and sister. The person I love is you. What a load of crap. After dealing with the online mob, we had moved on to Julian. He had spent over $30,000 of my money that Chloe had given him. As soon as I filed the police report, he was arrested. He was currently sitting in a detention center, awaiting trial. He was going to pay back every penny, and he was going to do time. Now, Chloe was trying to win me back, wearing a seductive dress I unfortunately recognized. She had worn it in a post on her social media, pressed up against Julian's back. The sight of her trying to look alluring made my stomach churn. I made a mental note to get a full medical checkup, just in case. If you have any self-respect, you'll sign the divorce papers, I said. Her face went pale. You really don't love me at all anymore? The act was pathetic. She had used the media, manipulated public opinion, and nearly destroyed me and my daughter, and now she was playing the innocent victim. I gave her one last cold glance and left. As I reached the bottom of the building, a frantic scream came from above. Leo, if you dare to divorce me, I'll jump from here. Chloe was perched on the balcony railing, one leg already over the edge. Young man, talk to your wife properly. Don't let this end in tragedy, a neighbor shouted. If she dies here, the property value of the whole building will plummet. This is insane, another complained. I nodded to the concerned onlookers with a polite smile. Then, I looked up at Chloe and offered my sincere advice. You should probably do it quickly. After you're gone, I can collect the life insurance. At least your death will be worth something. A hush fell over the entire building. Chloe froze, staring at me with a horrified, chilling expression. Leo, she said, her voice low and menacing. You will pay for this. A bad feeling washed over me. Just in case, I quickly sold the apartment and rented a new one for myself and Grace in a high-security complex. The new place was great. Except, weakling, fancy seeing you here. We're neighbors. Alex slung an arm around my shoulder with a wide grin. What a nightmare, I muttered. Oh, I love a man with a sharp tongue, she said, winking. I felt a familiar wave of exhaustion. She changed the subject, her tone suddenly serious. Your court date is coming up. They've got nothing on you, so they might try to go after your daughter. I knew that. It was why I had moved in such a hurry, though I worried the commotion might have tipped them off to my new location. Alex smiled and gently smoothed the worried frown on my forehead. Don't worry. Big sis is here. The days flew by, and the court hearing was just a few days away. One evening, I came home late with Grace, exhausted from a day of running errands. Sweetheart, how about a nice warm bath for you? I cooed. The baby in my arms gurgled happily, and I couldn't help but smile. My daughter was my everything. Suddenly, something cold and sharp pressed against my throat. A knife. The blade pressed deeper, a stinging pain spreading across my neck. I swallowed hard. Take it easy, I stammered. You can have all my money. A derisive laugh echoed in the dark. The voice was distorted, androgynous. But I want the child. Panic seized me. Take my life. Take anything, just not my daughter. I begged. The attacker plunged the knife into my shoulder. Pain exploded through me, and a scream tore from my lips. Grace started to cry, and I quickly covered her mouth. Leo, put the baby on the bed, or I will kill her right now. The point of the knife dug into my back. I had no choice. My hands shaking, I gently laid my daughter on the bed. The moment I let go, she let out a heartbreaking sob. It shattered me, but I slowly raised my hands and backed away. So, Leo, you would choose your own life over your child's after all, the attacker sneered. You're just as pathetic and deceitful as everyone says. They kicked me to the ground and snatched the bundle from the bed. A moment later, a confused voice spoke. Wait, you tricked me. Suddenly, several police officers burst into the room, swiftly tackling the intruder. The bundle fell to the floor, but made no sound. I picked it up and held it close, letting out a long sigh. This is my daughter's favorite doll. She can't sleep without it. She's probably going to be fussy tonight. When the lights flipped on, the attacker's face was revealed. It was Chloe. How did the doll make baby sounds? She asked, her face a mask of disbelief. Oh, this. I pulled a small audio recorder from my pocket and smiled sadly. Any real mother would have known it was a recording. But not you. Chloe was led away in a daze. I was taken to the hospital where, under Alex's watchful eye, I was forced to stay for a few days. Alex was peeling a grape and trying to shove it into my mouth. I backed away in terror, then heard a cough from the doorway. I could have cried with relief. Dad, you're so busy at the station. What are you doing here? I asked her father. Alex smiled sweetly and linked her arm through her father's, feigning innocence. Her dad, the city's deputy police chief, just stared at me in silence until I broke out in a cold sweat. Finally, he snorted and walked away. That little brat, his deep voice echoed down the hall. She's never peeled a single grape for me. Alex and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. A few days prior, for Grace's safety, Alex had insisted I stay at her place. When I walked in, I was shocked to find her living room filled with police officers. The sting operation had been her father's idea. He had seen the life-threatening nature of the situation and authorized it. Thankfully, everything was resolved smoothly after that. Julian was sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. Chloe, for attempted murder, received a similar sentence. A truly great love story, right to the bitter end. In the days that followed, Alex was always around, often helping me with Grace. Despite everything she had done for me, she never pushed for anything more between us. One day, I finally asked her about it. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes on the book in her lap. People should respect each other, she said softly, her voice husky and casual. And just wait for the flower to bloom. The way she said it made my ears tingle. What are you reading? I asked, leaning over to see. My face darkened. She was reading the line directly from the book. People should respect each other and just wait for the flower to bloom. Reciting love lines from a book. This woman. But still, it was kind of charming. I slowly knelt down and slid a ring onto her finger. For the rest of our lives, I said, my voice full of a hope I hadn't felt in years. Let's face it together.